Hey guys, it's Tara Macklin popping in here. I'm going to try to help walk you through a little bit of something that has popped up here recently in some of the PCOS groups that I've seen here on social media. Probably is about over a week ago, and it's based off of information off of a whole nother social media thread. And I just wanted to kind of walk through a couple key points that I grabbed out of there and maybe help you better understand whether spearmint is the best fit for you or not. It actually, the whole concept of using spearmint for helping out with testosterone, this is something that's kind of come out of the Middle East and expanded out to other women as women share openly about the things that are helping serve their bodies. Keeping in mind that PCOS is different for everyone, so everyone's going to get different results. But this thread is based off of some women that are having negative results and asking questions, and somebody else had popped in with some information. And so I went through and dug into that information off the key points that really stuck out to me, and I wanted to present those here for you today. If you are finding evidence that is contrary to what I'm stating in here, holler at me, let me know, and I will definitely be happy to review it and edit my post. So first off, the one point that was made is high androgens are caused by too much estrogen. So some studies show that estrogen levels raise with the use of spearmint. And actually, it's specifically estradiol. So this is the primary estrogen type that is in your body during your reproductive years. And actually, what I have found is that when you make too much estradiol, your body tries to take that and convert it into testosterone. And when you have too much estradiol, your body doesn't really isn't able to keep up with it and convert it into testosterone. So you, at some point, your body will then let me make sure I'm saying all the right things. Your body won't keep up with that production, and it won't just keep making the testosterone. So, and I have notes here because this is a lot of science, so I gotta make sure I'm getting all the things I found. But what I also didn't find was any evidence that testosterone can create more estradiol or any other estrogen for that matter. That didn't come up in any of the medical literature that I reviewed, medical textbooks, anything of that nature. Dosing. There is reference to dosing in the comments about 1,000 milligrams being too much. And so the average tea bag is 1,200 milligrams in the little sachet. Keep in mind that you're probably not getting that full dose the first brewing. Like if you've ever brewed tea ever in life, you usually know that, especially if you're doing it in a cup and you're doing small doses of the warm tea and it's sitting on the counter, you're not getting, like you can go and brew that sachet a couple times, right? So keep in mind, you're probably not getting the whole 1,200 milligrams of spearmint in that one cup. You're going to get that out of a total number of brewings. And even then, I challenge the fact that you would even get a whole 1,200 milligrams of spearmint out of that, because that's weight in grams. And that's not necessarily what you're steeping out in dosage. So it's not nearly the same as taking like a capsule. So if you are taking capsule, the suggested max dosage is about 500 milligrams. That sounds fairly reasonable. If you're drinking cups of tea, that's 250 milligrams. So about a cup of tea in the morning, do that twice a day. So if we're looking at those numbers, and I got that out of the same resource, then it's probably fairly reasonable to assume that you're maybe only getting roughly anywhere between around 500 milligrams, maybe a little bit more so in your tea. But again, there's no science out there that is showing exactly how much spearmint you are steeping out into your water. If you're someone who's really big on numbers like I am, then stick with the capsules and make sure you're buying good quality stuff. So you don't want to go out and go buy just willy-nilly junk out there, because again, supplements are not regulated. So keep that in mind. Another thing with spearmint is that the person noted that spearmint raises LH, so that's your luteinizing hormone, which raises androgens. Okay, so first off, in the studies that I read, here are some things that I found, and I'll kind of go back and try to explain this a little bit more. reducing free testosterone. So this is one thing. If you get lab work done, there are different types of labs for testosterone. So you're free, as in the name implies, it's just testosterone just floating around your body. It's not bound to anything. It's not attached to anything. This spearmint has shown to reduce that level of testosterone. And that's great. And this is probably why women are seeing some positive results. That is great if your free testosterone is high. So this is, again, where your lab work is going to be really important in kind of guiding you what supplements or even medications for that matter that you need. It also shows in a lot of the research studies that I've reviewed that you're going to have an increase of your LH. So this is your luteinizing hormone, your FSH, which goes along with your LH, and your estradiol, which we've already explained is a type of testosterone. So again, we're not really worried too much about the estradiol doing anything to our testosterone. So we've disproven this point. Here's the point that they're talking about with the LH and actually in combination with the FSH. So if you have, say you have LH and FSH that are in normal range and they're balanced with each other. So we have a good, nice ratio. They are balanced, and they might be a little teeter-tottered off, but they're really close in their ratio, like a 1-to-1 ratio, right? Then if you are using spearmint, in theory, we shouldn't have to worry about the rise in LH because we're getting an equal rise in FSH because that's what we're finding in studies. Here is the problem. If we have an unbalanced ratio, if we have really high LH, which some women with PCOS have, and we have an FSH that's a little bit below, so like we have a 2-to-1 ratio. So both of these numbers might be balanced, they might be within range, they might be normal in our labs, but our ratio's off. Then when we go to add the spearmint and both of those raise, we're in theory raising at the same level, and maybe the FSH comes up a little bit, but we still don't quite have our balance, our 1-to-1 ratio, and that might be just off just enough that that LH could actually be causing some problems with testosterone. So then we're also getting the adverse effect. This again is where our lab work is really going to be the key piece in determining whether spearmint is actually a good option for us or not. And hopefully you guys followed that with my little hand gestures. Hopefully they were helpful. I don't have little graphics to put up here on the screen. So some people might kind of go, but wait a minute, we don't want estrogen to raise, right? Now, here's the deal. If we have good progesterone levels that balance out with our estrogen, this is something that won't be a problem. You may need to consider putting in like a supplement to help counterbalance the progesterone, because that's usually another problem with women with PCOS. So our progesterone levels are so low and our estrogen is they're not ratioed quite well as we go through our cycles, right? So you may need to consider adding in some sort of progesterone supplementation if this is you and you don't want your estrogens. So that's something else to think about. But actually having your estradiol raise is not necessarily a bad thing. First of all, we're talking about a natural estrogen in our body. We make this estrogen, right? So it's not necessarily bad to have our good estrogens, the ones that are naturally producing in our body, elevate, again, as long as we are keeping our progesterone also in balance. We don't want to throw off our balances, because estradiol actually has a benefit for us. Who knew? And it's more than actually reproducing and helping release and fertilize an egg, right? Or actually thicken our lining in our uterus. That's actually its role. Estrogen actually is really good for helping us with our insulin resistance. So if you have that, having that estradiol actually raise a little bit may not necessarily be a bad thing for you. So it's something to think about. Here are some other things that might also be throwing off some people's results. This is only addressing really free testosterone at the end of the day. So there's no studies showing that it's helping with any other androgens. So if you have other androgen levels like DHEASs, you have DHTs that are high, then these are things that the spearmint's not really going to help with. So keep that in mind as well. Last but not least, and real quick, there are some other factors that might be affecting some of these women's results that I want you to consider. One, what are they taking? What kind of tea are they drinking? What kind of supplement are they taking? What's the quality of it? How much of it are they taking? So again, if we are taking cheap spearmint that has had stuff sprayed on it and it's maybe not been harvested properly or dried out properly and put into the capsule, however that they go about making up those capsules exactly, if they're putting fillers in them, that things like that, that could really be affecting what their result is based off of what's inside those capsules. The same thing holds true with the tea. If you're getting all kinds of other chemicals in the tea bags, this is a problem. The other thing is we don't know what they're doing with their lifestyle. So maybe they are trying to supplement away bad habits or other things like that. They're not taking their lifestyle seriously and making adjustments there. So those are just some pieces to the puzzle. Hopefully you guys were able to help follow along with the science of this. I know that's maybe like some people just they don't want the science to just tell me what to do. But for those of you guys that are maybe a little bit more like me and you're kind of a nerd and you want to know what the numbers say, hopefully you guys have found this helpful, and let me know if you guys are finding evidence to the contrary to anything I presented today. I'm by no means perfect, and I'm only as good as the research I find. So anyways, I hope you guys found this helpful again, and thank you so much for your time today. And make sure if you guys are enjoying this content that you guys are clicking subscribe up above and clicking on the bell so you get alerted every time I post up a new video. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.